Okay, so it looks like I'm back now. I tried to refresh the retro arch because I was starting to hear some pops and clicks. So if you cycle through the inputs, usually it'll just kind of get rid of that audio problem, at least on OBS it does. And it looks like it just killed the stream completely. Good old Elgato. So everything should be back up and running now. Give it a second. Yes, it did. Completely crapped out. And Elgato software, the one thing I like about it is it tells you real-time count of who's watching your stream. So you can see, 120, whatever, and it's not showing me anything. Okay, there we go. Now it shows 3. Perfect. Because the dashboard shows 0. Since I want to make sure everyone's able to come back in. Really, Morg? I thought they got rid of all those girls. Unless they let them back. Because I have seen some now, what they do is body painting, where they're pretty much naked. And Twitch allows it because they're like, well, it's art. I don't know. Probably. I don't know. I've seen several people do that. Now, there are some that do, like, legitimate, like, okay, I'm going to put on face makeup type deal, or, like, for cosplay, things like that. I've seen that before, but then you see the other ones are just, like, standing there completely naked, getting lots of tips for stuff and bits. And they have like a little bit of paint on them. That's it. It's like, wow, okay. And Twitch doesn't care because they're getting revenue from all the bits. After they supposedly, cracked down on all the stream girls like that, cam girls, they're coming back in. Ah, here's the level I was thinking of earlier. Got the saw chasing you all over the place. Oh, Catherine flashbacks indeed. Come on. Yeah, but was her mom hot? Was it like a Stacy's girl situation? Stacy's mom? I've heard she's got it going on. It really bugs me when people are like, Stacy's mom, do Fountains of Wayne, like it's Todd in the Shadows. Does a one-hit wonder type show where he basically reviews and talks about bands that had one hit, of course. And people bring up Fountains of Wayne, like Stacy's mom. I'm like, they had 2 other hits. And the game screws. Yeah. And people are like, why is that song so catchy? Because it's modeled after the Cars. That's why. Oh, come on. Shitty hitbox. Nope, they are delaying it for some time. Don't know why it would take that long. Game's already done, really. It's actually been out in Japan for a while now. Oh, that's crappy. All it's doing is just adding one new character to the storyline. It was really funny because leading up to it, everyone's like, "Oh, it's a trans person, and they're going for all these rights and stuff, and people are just transphobic if you don't buy this game in Japan." And the person's not trans at all. It's, if you want me to spoil it, I will. But it's nothing even close to that. Like the new Catherine character, it's not. I said the game's been out in Japan, and you can look it all up online and see everything, the ending and everything that goes with it. They are not trans. Right. It just cracked me up because when the actual, like, what actually came out of it, people, like, got upset. They're like, why isn't it this? It's like, they never said it was. It's like you presumed it would be, and just wasn't what it was. Yay, done. Well, I'm glad you identify that way. You're comfortable with who you are. Is it going to hit me? Nope. Okay. I was like, that's gonna be cheap. Nah, he's the world's first anal rapist. If you've never seen Arrested Development, oh my god. Good old Tobias. Arrested Development was a great show that Fox had no idea what to do with. Again, won multiple awards, and they canceled it, and then they moved it to Netflix, and they pretty much destroyed the show. They had season 4 of the show, and it was like they just changed characters around to be the exact opposite of what they've been built up to be for so long. Then season 5 was just so god-awful I couldn't even get past the first episode of it, so it's a shame. Well, the thing is that Fox canceled the show. I mean, it was doing really well with viewers. It was winning awards left and right, and Fox doesn't know still to this day what to do with a popular, well-received show, which is why they just canceled them after usually 1 or 2 seasons. So after a bunch of years, they moved to Netflix, but they had everybody agree to come in and do the show, and then they went through and they couldn't get away at the same time, so they had to have this highly fragmented plot go through, which didn't make sense until you hit like the 5th episode, and then everything started to tie together. So through 4 or 5 episodes, you're just watching this going, where the hell is this going? When is this going to be funny? And then when all the threads start to connect together, it becomes fun. But they still have the whole thing about like Michael Bluth. He's supposed to be like the moral compass of the family, and he's just like trying to, and does succeed, does successfully bang his son's girlfriend and starts cheating on him with her and everything. It's just like, wait a minute, what the hell? It was just really weird. And then the 5th season, like I said, I couldn't even make it through. Couldn't even get past like the 1st episode. And they actually had to go through and retcon it, because the end of season 4 ends up with George Michael, aka Michael Cera, finding out that his dad's banging his girlfriend behind his back, and he like slugs him in the face, and that's where the season ends. So season 5 starts, and they realized, crap, we wrote ourselves into a corner, we can't get out of this. So they retconned it. They're like, oh, that never happened, we're not gonna talk about it. And they literally erased it out from existence in order to have a season 5. And they couldn't admit that they screwed themselves by writing that at the end. They thought they were so clever, and they went, oh shit, we can't get out of this. Awesome. Firefly got screwed hardcore by Fox. They kept changing the time when the show aired. They aired all the episodes out of order. That didn't help things. It was the quintessential, basically, we don't really believe in this product. And that show got shafted so hard. They did like Dollhouse, which was a really weird show. My mom watched that. I was like, this seemed like it was an interesting premise, and then they just kind of abandoned it after the 1st episode, really. It's like, this could be really interesting, and it wasn't. Yeah, like I said, Dollhouse, seeing the 1st episode, I'm like, okay, I can see why they picked up this show. It had like an interesting premise for the pilot, and then it just abandoned it all. And then they had like the writer's strike eventually, and it was just like, it was doomed. Alright, Nimix, see you later. Let me up there, please. Thank you. Yeah, exactly. It's one of those things that just took too long to get going, and people just couldn't hold their interest. I don't blame them, really. It's like one of the shows I really liked, and they just ran it into the ground real fast after the first season, was Terminator Sarah Connor Chronicles. I've never been able to say that correctly. Pardon me. And then, like, season 2 happened, and then I guess they had, like, more episodes, because I remember the first season was something like 12 episodes, I think. And the next one, they're like, 24, and stretch out more of the episode length. And then the writer's strike happened, and by the time we finally got somewhere really interesting, had a great cliffhanger, the show got canceled. And rightfully so, because, I mean, they just did everything they could to wreck it, unfortunately. Yeah, it gets good at episode 6, and you're on episode 1, you have problems. Oh, and apparently they've reduced gravity somehow. They're probably just high on all the fumes in here. Dude, do you feel like you're floating? Me too. When's the pizza getting here? Oh, terrible jump. And I'm dead. Nope, nope. Now I'm dead. Yeah, but the Sarah Connor Chronicles I thought were kind of interesting. It did the one thing that really bugs me, though, is that you'll have a pilot happen, and then they'll change how a character is. Like, the Terminator, I forgot what her name is. Like, the actor's name. Summer Glau, there we go. She was able to fool John Connor. She was, like, able to blend in, replicate being, like, a teenager and infiltrate. And then after that episode, after the pilot, they're just like, what are humans? What are emotions? These things you call feelings. It's like they completely killed her off like that. The other show I remember that did that was Star Trek Voyager. Ugh, terrible show to begin with. But they had 7 of 9, and she had emotions. She was like upset about being turned into a Borg and everything, and after about 2 episodes of that, they're like, now you're just a clueless person who has no idea how feelings work, and you don't understand people, and you are just straight Borg. Go. So it's like they just kind of retconned the other 2 episodes where she had emotions and feelings and understood things and PTSD from having her life stripped away from her. I guess they felt like, well, we did that already with Next Generation with Picard. Let's not do it again. Eventually, it was whoever the number 1 was on the show, like the, number 1, whatever the guy's name was. Basically the guy who should have just done like a coup or a mutiny and just got rid of Janeway because she was the most dangerous person ever. I mean, Starfleet has this whole history of hiring totally insane people and like promoting up to Admiral, but she would just get everybody killed constantly. It's like, Captain, they're firing on us. No, don't return fire. We deserve it because they've been oppressed for generations. And they're like, that wasn't us. We're dying. Don't fire. We need to teach them love instead. It's like she was getting people killed left and right. They should have mutinied. Long ago. Here we go. Looking forward. It's about last year or so. The chances of going on a suicide mission per captain. If you look at Janeway, she's at 110%. Yeah, Japan does that a lot. A lot in anime. Yeah, but it was just really weird. Like I said, I hate it when shows do that. They're like, okay, we gave you something here that people are getting engaged to, and we decided, no, we're just going to strip it out. So it completely changed what could have been really interesting dynamic of the show. It didn't wreck it, but it's just like, okay, you could have gone down this entire road. Because they were kind of setting up that her character is supposed to be like John's girlfriend / lover in the future. And they briefly touch upon it again, but it didn't really make any sense just because of like how she was. Ah, crap. I was hoping I'd make it. Yeah, she was, like, eating, and she's like, you know, he's like, well, you're just a machine, and she's like, you don't really know a lot about me, and eats food in front of him. So you're thinking, okay, this could be really interesting to see how this goes, and they just abandoned it. So yeah, she'd casually smile, she was able to fit in, and then, like, when she needed to fit in for situations, she couldn't do it anymore. It's like she stopped being an infiltrator, which is what she was designed to be. Okay, they went the entirely wrong way. And screwed. Got it. also with how, okay, turn around, dude. Season 2 of the show ended was really, really interesting. Like, they had set up that humans had made an alliance with the machines, because not all of the robots from Skynet wanted to be at war with humans. There were some who just didn't care. And that was really, really cool. You know, John's actually going out and seeking out, like, rebel camps of, like, robots from Skynet. They've rejected Skynet, and they're planning to wipe out humanity. And one of the like, it turns out, like, Shirley Manson's character, yeah, she was on the show. She was actually a T-1000 sent back to, like, help coordinate in the past with John to make sure he gets where he needs to be. And that was, like, really awesome. It was like, wow, okay, so there's, like, a Terminator faction that wants to work with the humans and is working with the humans. And then the show ends by, like, because everyone wonders, like, the big thing, how does John survive Judgment Day? Like, why do people suddenly listen to him and everything? And the show basically did it a brilliant way. They time warped him into the future past Judgment Day. So he just shows up, he's kind of fish out of water, and that's how he lives through it. And that's how he has, like, all his different knowledge and so forth, is he got warped there, like, about 40 years past where it's supposed to be, which was pretty awesome, and the show got canceled. So it was like, it was going to be really, really interesting to see where it went, and it just never happened. Yeah, I have a fun Shirley Manson story, too. Oh yeah, that's great. He actually brought up one of the things that really always bugged me about Genesis, is that there was a massive, massive plot hole. Because John Connor is supposed to be born in 1984, and they leave 1984 and jump to 2017. So he was never born at all, but yet he exists. Okay. It's like he would have never been born. They just basically did Skynet's job for them. Jump! Come on. Game, like, eats inputs on that. Yeah, you're trying to jump on the top one, it stops you. There we go. Jump! Come on! It was... all I know, it's some girl who's on Game of Thrones. I don't know her name because I don't watch Game of Thrones, or never didn't watch it. Emilia Clarke, maybe? That sounds kind of familiar. Yeah, Solo was just bad. Solo was the movie that nobody asked for. Then they hired a director of photography who was like, light the set? No, we don't need any lights. I don't care if people are facing the wrong way, and there's no lights whatsoever. Film it. I waited for the home version to come out, and I tried my best to doctor the film. Pardon me, bring up brightness, contrast, so I could just see what the hell I was supposed to be looking at, and I couldn't do it. It was just so crappily shot, you cannot fix that movie. On top of, like I said, it's the movie that nobody asked for, and we didn't need. Oh, come on. Can't remember how many hits it takes to kill this guy. The turbo skis. Hey, King Relic. There we go. Just gotta get some speed built up. Food is important. More important than streaming. Let's get a good old save in here. I actually don't remember how much more there is to this game. And the dogs who, when they bark, they shoot bees near their mouths? Yes. Or at least the robotic Richard Simmons. No. That's why this game is a lot better. They solved all the problems that they created for Donkey Kong Country 2. You can save anytime you want, as many times as you want. You can do mini games that don't charge you to do anything. Vertical levels are not too bad. If you fall, then it's hardly anything, so... Ouch. Mirror's level being a real pain in the butt. And I was right. Speaking of climbing mountains, did you hear that people are freezing to death on Mount Everest? And not in the usual way, but because of traffic jams. People waiting to get up to the top of the mountain. And they're just standing around and just freezing to death because they're basically camped out at what's called the kill zone. There's this like crazy image. Here we go. There we go, just the image. This is the current line to get to the top of Mount Everest. There's almost no oxygen up there where you are. It is bitterly cold. And people are dying just waiting to get to the very top. I'd say though, King Relic, just if you haven't played this game in a long time, give it a go. I think you'll be surprised. It's actually not a bad game at all, but people just kind of crapped on it. Because they hold Donkey Kong Country 2 in such high regard. But it's like, so this game basically goes back to the formula of 1, which works a lot better. Fixes a lot of the problems that they had. It's actually fun to play. It's not a bad game. Yeah, it's still not bad, even compared to the original. It's still a pretty good game. Yeah, 1 is still, like, my favorite. The entire trilogy, I would say definitely 1 is good. Like, I go like 1, 3, then 2. 2 being my least favorite, of course. Pardon me. Yes, you are hearing a slight Mario 64 medley. Yeah, this came out, like I said earlier, 2 months after Mario 64 and the N64 came out in the States. So I decided to work it in here, which would have been really interesting if it released before the N64 came out. But of course, I would have been one of the few people in the States who knew what it was, having the 64 before everybody else, so. But anyway, right now, as I lower down the game audio a little bit, this is probably ending the stream for now. Been playing for about 3 hours, hands are all stiff. So thanks for tuning in. Hopefully be back again, streaming again tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I might take the day off, we'll have to see. I really need to kind of rest up. Like today I slept for like 13 hours, my body really needed it. But I'm not sure it'll be streaming either Bayonetta 2 once again, or like I keep threatening Dante's Inferno. I might do that too, so we'll have to see. Yes, they did re-release the Donkey Kong Country games for the Game Boy Advance. That's actually how my little brother first played them. So yes, they did do a remaster of sorts to put them on those consoles. Yep, but thanks for hanging out, everybody. Morg, King Relic, Nimix, and of course anybody else who was lurking. Thanks very much for watching, and see you guys next time.